Okay, on the farm in the fall, there's certainly no lack of jobs. You've got drainage tile to put in, strip tillage to do, harvest to finish up, but you just can't forget about doing some deeper tillage to cure up your compaction issues out on the farm.
Well, it may or may not be a cure, but here's the thing. You have compaction on your farm, whether you admit it or not. Everybody has some compaction issues. You know, we live in the real world here. It's nice to talk about, oh, we don't want any compaction, then we'll get the best yields. You have Mother Nature to deal with. We know we're gonna have some compaction problems. So on our farm, what we'll try to do in the fall is at least we want to handle the heavy traffic areas, and we also want to do some of our, let's say, new fields that we've just picked up where we have more compaction issues than we probably should. And what we like to do is go out with a Brilliant Zone Commander deep, running about 20 inches deep or so to get below the deepest level of compaction. Typically in fields, you're going to find 2 layers of compaction, a man-made and a natural.
Well, with those compaction layers, what we're trying to do, that man-made layer that we call a plow pan, or if you've got some heavy traffic through the field, just tire compaction, we want to break that up completely. That's just fine. The natural layer of compaction that's typically down 14 to 18 inches for most of our area, we just want to slice through that and just make some little slits through that deep compaction layer so roots can get through, so water can get away, these kind of things. We don't want to completely blow up that lower natural layer of compaction, because when we do, the soil gets so soft that you just sink away in the spring and there's no base to it.
Yeah, so here's what we're looking at. Rather than using a C shank that's curved and is probably going to bring subsoil up to the topsoil, we want to run with a straight shank. So we're not doing that. We're just basically slicing, almost like a butter knife, slicing through the soil.
With a narrow point too, not with a winged tip. That's the other thing.
We don't want a winged point that's going to really create lots of soil disturbance. We're talking about a narrow point. So you want to just have a narrow point, straight shank. I don't care what brand it is or anything else. If you've got a narrow point, straight shank, and you find in your soil your man-made layer of compaction, your natural compaction layer, and you get below your natural compaction layer, just below it, make sure you're getting just below it. That's the most common mistake we see doing deep tillage. Guys are running above their natural compaction layer.
Well, they can go so much faster. When you're not pulling through that lower layer of compaction, you can really move. You know, we were over in the Ukraine a couple of falls ago, and the guys are just booking through the field doing deep tillage, and we're like, wow, you know, how can you move that fast through the field?
Well, no, we said, we know he's not doing something right. He's going too fast in order to get the job done.
He's getting paid by the acre, so what the heck, he wants to move. But you're not getting paid by the acre to get tillage done. You're getting paid by the acre to raise good crops.
Yep.
So if you want to raise good crops, put that shank down deep where it needs to be. Get through your compaction layers and do the job you're trying to do.
Yeah, and here's the whole thing too. A lot of guys are always looking for the silver bullet. Okay, is this one thing going to give me 50 more bushels? You know what? It's probably not. It's probably only going to give you 5. But in some areas of your field, it may give you 50. And here's the other thing. We know that over time, you've got to have more roots getting down deeper in your soil if you want to farm more of your ground, if you want to be more drought proof, if you want to get higher yields. So yeah, it's a tool that's going to help you get to that 50 more bushels, but it's just a tool. It's just one piece of the puzzle. So don't think this is the whole answer to everything. You got to look at a lot of other things on your farm. We'll try to help you with those other things on future shows. But for today, we just want to focus on this compaction issue. Make sure you're dealing with your heavily trafficked areas, and also maybe some new ground areas where you've never done deep tillage before. You gotta get roots going deep. And you know, everybody asks, well, how do I know how deep my roots are going? You're not gonna know unless you dig.
Yeah, and do some digging out there with a shovel, use a penetrometer, whatever it takes to find those compaction layers in your field and address them this fall so you can have a successful crop next spring.
Yeah, my digging I like to do with the skid steer loader. Actually, I like to have somebody like Darren do the digging for me so I don't have to do any work. All I have to do is walk out and look at it. But no, I would seriously
whatever it takes in your farm. There's always one guy that actually does the work and another guy that likes to talk about it. That's how it goes.
I would dig with a skid steer loader. It only takes a few minutes. You can dig down, and the reason why I suggest that is then you can see that whole soil profile rather than just digging with a shovel. That's a lot of work, and you're going to quit before you probably should. Just dig a bigger hole, dig a root pit, and you'll see what's going on. You'll see where those compaction layers are at, and then you can appropriately do that deep tillage that you should.
Well, deep tillage is great for helping with compaction issues, but it doesn't necessarily stop our weed of the week. We'll show you coming up next.